You know that feeling, right? Being pulled in a million different directions by your job, your family, your passions. But what if the same physics that governs the stars could actually give us a map for our own lives? Well, today, we're going to use the universal force of gravity as a powerful metaphor to really understand our most important commitments. And look, this isn't just some cute idea we're playing with. We're about to dive into a metaphor that is so powerful, it can literally reshape how you see your choices and your connections. This one, this one has teeth. So, when we think of gravity, what comes to mind? Probably an apple falling from a tree, right? But that's just a tiny, tiny piece of a truly colossal story. It's time to reframe the whole thing. Here is the key shift in perspective. Let's stop thinking of gravity as just a downward force. It's actually a universal principle of attraction. It's this constant pull that everything in the universe has toward a core, a center. And guess what? In our lives, we have those centers too. Okay, so how does this really work? Well, it turns out two fundamental laws of physics give us an incredible framework for understanding our own personal attractions and commitments. First up is mass. In physics, it's pretty simple, you know? The sun is absolutely massive, so its gravitational pull is strong enough to hold our entire solar system together. A little pebble, on the other hand, has almost no mass, so you don't find yourself orbiting one on your morning walk. More stuff, stronger pull. Easy enough. Now let's bring that back to us. In your life, the mass of something is simply its importance. You could call it its gravitas. Think about your family, a huge career goal, a core value you live by. The more important it is to you, the more mass it has, the more powerfully it pulls on your time, your energy, and all your decisions. And now for the second rule, and honestly, this one is a total game changer. It's called the inverse square law. Here's the deal. The pull of gravity isn't linear, it's exponential. As things get closer, the force of attraction just skyrockets. If you cut the distance in half, the pull doesn't just double, it gets 4 times stronger. And that is such a crucial takeaway for our lives. If you want to strengthen a relationship or master a skill, it's not about some big, grand gesture you make from miles away. The real power is in those small, consistent movements that just close the distance. That closeness is what creates an exponentially more powerful bond. So, if everything with mass is constantly pulling on everything else, why isn't the universe just one giant cosmic car crash? The answer is this beautiful, elegant dance we call an orbit. And it's not a static thing. It's a dynamic, ongoing conversation. Let's ask the big question here. I mean, the sun's gravity is immense. It's pulling on us constantly. So why don't we just spiral right into it and burn up? What is stopping that from happening? The answer is this perfect cosmic tug of war. On one side, you've got gravity. That's the inward pull, your connection to something, love, a sense of purpose, duty. But pulling against it, on the other side, you have momentum. That's your own path forward, your personal identity, your own desire to keep moving. A stable, healthy orbit is just the perfect, continuous negotiation between those two forces. But here's the thing about that balance. It's incredibly fragile. When that conversation between the pull inward and the path forward breaks down, things can go wrong very, very quickly. And failure really happens in two main ways. If your momentum is too low, if you're moving too slow, you spiral inward and you crash. You lose yourself completely to a job or a relationship or an idea. But if your momentum is too high, you can actually break orbit and fly off into emptiness. And that's just isolation pretending to be freedom. Okay, this cosmic tour is fascinating, but how do we actually use it? Let's turn this metaphor into a practical tool that you can use right now to map the gravitational forces in your own universe. It's a really simple 3-step audit. First, just name the 3 biggest things pulling on you. Second, rate their mass. How truly important are they? High, medium, or low? And third, analyze your orbit. How are you moving around them? Are you maintaining your own momentum, or are you getting pulled off course? And here's what that can look like. So in this example, getting good at soccer is a high-mass goal. The orbit involves daily practice, but you can also see it creates tension, like missing family dinner. It forces you to ask, is my orbit healthy? Is the dialogue working? So what are the 3 biggest forces in your life, and what does your orbit around them really look like? We've covered a lot of ground, but there's one final, profound secret about gravity that honestly changes everything. This is the wisdom at the very heart of this whole metaphor. So get this. Einstein's great revelation was that massive objects don't actually pull on things. It's even wilder than that. Their immense mass literally warps and curves the fabric of reality, of space-time around them. So smaller objects aren't being pulled, they're just following the straightest possible path through a curved universe.
And that is the ultimate takeaway. The things you give the most mass to in your life, your deepest values, your greatest loves, they don't just pull on you. They fundamentally change the shape of the world you experience. They bend your reality.
So when you commit to something with real mass, moving toward it isn't some struggle against an external force. No, you are simply following the path of least resistance through a reality that you yourself have shaped with your choices. Falling toward your center is really a form of listening to your own deepest values. But this all leads to one final crucial warning: the black hole. This is what happens when mass becomes infinite. The pull is so absolute that it destroys all dialogue and consumes all momentum. In our lives, this is an obsession, an addiction, an attachment so all-consuming that it demands the complete annihilation of the self. There's no orbit here. There's only an end. So I'll leave you with this question. A meaningful life isn't about avoiding gravity. It's about choosing centers of attraction that are worthy of warping your reality. So look up at your own inner sky. What massive, life-giving suns have you chosen to orbit? And is your own momentum strong enough to keep that beautiful dance going?